Regulate, G-Funk era. It's been a while. This is an album that I don't remember if I ever bought. Maybe my older brother had it or I dubbed it from one of my friends. It was just one of those albums like The Chronic or Doggy Style that was just in the air. It was pumping out of every car and every boombox at all times. I remember I didn't have cable, so the only way I could see music videos was to go to my grandmother's house, and I would be glued to the TV anytime the Regulators video was on. Warren G was never known for being a lyricist, so the idea of him carrying an entire album seemed unlikely, and I remember quite a few struggle bars strewn throughout this album. Having said that, I do remember picking up his second and third albums, so maybe I'm a really big Warren G fan and I forgot. Let's see which one it is. Before I get started, I just want to say this. When I look up Warren G in Apple Music, this is the picture that pops up. Mr. G, if you're watching, I don't want to tell you how to run your business, but you're a legend. You have to be able to find a better picture than this. This album comes out swinging for the fences with Regulate. There's not much I have to say about this song that hasn't been said already. This is a fascinating song because to this day, nothing really sounds like it. Warren G's rapping sounds like he's singing, and Nate Dogg singing sounds like he's rapping. There's also a weird juxtaposition of the characters in the story. Warren G is helpless while he's getting robbed, and at the same time, Nate Dogg is so cool that girls are crashing their cars just to get a look at him. Having said that, I wouldn't consider this a Warren G song any more than I would say it's a Nate Dogg song. In my mind, they get equal billing. You Don't See was the third and last single from this album. It didn't do as well as the other two, possibly because Notorious B.I.G.'s Juicy, which uses the same sample, was released as the single a few months before this, and maybe people thought he was biting. It could also be because this was a decidedly more serious single than the other two. The song starts out with a Gil Scott-Heron sample, which makes it seem like he's really about to tackle some serious issues, but the song stays pretty vague. Other than the moments when he's talking about growing up with Nate Dogg and Snoop Rock, he never really gets specific about anything, which is a recurring theme when it comes to Warren G. This album in a lot of ways feels like it was patterned after The Chronic in that it has a single producer using his platform to display his roster of talent. Warren G's version is less menacing than his stepbrothers, but the two albums function in the same way. The main difference being that no featured artist on this album went on to have any major success. Not counting Nate Dogg, of course. In case in point, the Twins are featured on the song Recognize. In case you don't know, the Twins are two twin brothers, Dion and Dwayne Williams, aka Trip Loc and Waniac. They had a minor hit with their 1995 single Round and Round. They appeared on Warren G's second album and an Eastsiders album in 2000. They released an EP in 2009, but that's about it. Oh, they also performed on All That. They are definitely better rappers than Warren G, which isn't saying much, but on this song and throughout the rest of this album, Warren G's production does most of the work. Super Soul Sis is a solo track for Josh Skills, who is a member of the 6-woman crew, the Five Footers. The group is still around as far as I can tell, but they don't have much of an online presence, so it's hard to tell what they've been up to. She's a talented MC, but again, the production does most of the heavy lifting. So Many Ways featuring Waniac is pretty good, but it's almost ruined by a pretty terrible hook from Lady Levi. This DJ is the second single from this album, and it was a pretty big hit, and it's probably more representative of the album than Regulate. This is the Shack is a song built to introduce the group The Dove Shack, whose biggest hit was 1995's Summertime in LBC. Each member comes out pretty great on this song, and Warren G's production, once again, is perfect. The tail end of this album is when things get a little dicey. What's Next features Warren G's production at its most aggressive. This is almost a boom bap beat, and because of that, Warren G decides that he wants to freestyle. I haven't said much about his lyrics in this review because that's not really what you come to a Warren G album for. Throughout this project, he has had some pretty questionable lyric choices and lines that don't really make sense, but on this song, the one that brings you style on Timesy Wimesy, conduction, construction, when I bust choo choo, he spells his name incorrectly, and this is just on the first verse. After that, he hands off the mic to Mr. Malik, who had a decent career at this point. He had some hits with his group Illegal, he had a song with Monica in '95, and after that, he kind of just disappeared. which seems to be a recurring theme with everyone who appears on this album. Side note, in 1997, Mr. Malik had a song on the Southwest Writers compilation called Big Bank that is amazing. This compilation actually has a lot of heat on it, so go listen to it after you watch this video. Warren and Malik go back and forth on the first part of the third verse with varying levels of success. Then Mr. Malik decides to put Warren out of his misery by finishing up the verse by himself. The song could have ended after the third verse, but 40 seconds before the song ends, Warren G decides to take the mic back for one final verse. And what does he decide to say? But the infamous line, "What's next? What's next? What's NXET?" I have never heard a song with two MCs with such uneven rapping abilities. This song is the Battlefield Earth of songs. It's so bad, it's kinda good. And You Don't Stop is the rare solo track from Warren G. The lyrics are still questionable, but nowhere near as bad as What's Next. Running With No Brakes is a posse cut that brings back most of the features from the album. Warren's rapping almost derails the song, but all in all, it's not bad. This album was a lot better than I thought it would be. I think the reason that I thought it wouldn't hold up was because the album finishes off super weak. Had Warren G not chosen to freestyle on the last 3 tracks on this album, I probably would have been left with a different impression. In the past, when I thought about this album, the one lyric that always haunted me was, wow how now, piggy pow, from the song Running With No Brakes. And that's just a bad way to end your album. But 3/4 of this album is still amazing. So, when's the last time you heard Regulate G-Funk Era? Are you still bumping it to this day? I'm gonna keep revisiting albums until I run out. Until then, I am Free Tillman, the only guy on the internet that doesn't know everything.